Have a bowl of cornflakes, spoon them from the dish. Touch the rooster, make a wish.
I wish I could go down the Amazon.
Goodness with wonderful nourishment. Yes, this Power Breakfast gives you power protein.
Good basic breakfast, so get yourself the Good Basic cereal.
Here's a team of junior spacemen with an out-of-this-world breakfast.
No eggs or fatty meat. Instead, eat grains and fiber that actually lower cholesterol.
It's nice, it tastes good.
But it is killing you.
Are the cereals in the grocery aisle as wholesome and nutritious as their ads in the front of the boxes suggest?
I've got diabetes,
sleep apnea,
high blood pressure.
I get dizzy when I get up.
Small wonder the industry's hungry to win you over. South of the border, the first meal of the day is a $42 billion business and growing.
We have built a cheap food model, and that's the one we're dealing with right now.
It's so hard to combat against what the TV's telling you about your kids.
Prepared breakfast cereals are digested into glucose literally in an instant in the digestive tract. You can eat a bowl of cornflakes with no added sugar, or you could eat a bowl of sugar with no added cornflakes. They might taste different, but below the neck, they're metabolically the same thing.
So, you're Beechnut in the late 1800s. You're a food packing company that makes everything from peanut butter to mustard to chewing gum. And chewing gum is fine for some chump change. But what really brings in the money is bacon. Yes, you are America's #1 producer of that sizzling, fat-streaked breakfast staple. And people love you for it. At least, until the industrial age began, where the beloved breakfast of bacon and eggs started to fall out of favor. See, the whole reason why people ate bacon and eggs in the first place was because everyone lived on farms, and that's all you had to eat on farms. Fresh meat wasn't always available, but eggs were always available first thing in the morning, and bacon was always available too, because it was cured. And this bacon and egg combo was the go-to breakfast for centuries. But now, with the dawn of the industrial age, people were abandoning their active lifestyles on farms and moving to the city, where they took up office jobs and sat for hours. And according to these workers, your bacon, which they were still eating every morning, was giving them major indigestion. And they didn't even have time to cook bacon every morning. This major lifestyle change caused your bacon sales to plummet. That's right, the one food product that was holding up your company was slipping out of your greasy, money-hungry hands. And this was really not good. So, what did you do? You picked up the phone and called a man named Edward Bernays, the man known as the father of propaganda. Bernays was a master of mass psychology, and he had built up a reputation as the man to go to when you needed to change public behavior. And you gave Bernays a daunting task: concoct a propaganda campaign that would put bacon and eggs back onto the American breakfast table for good. Your company depended on it. Your life depended on it. Because, think about it, breakfast is the most lucrative meal of the day.
They wanted to be the biggest bacon maker in America. And the normal way a company would have done that was to go out and compete and say, we have a better bacon than the other competing bacon makers. Eddie Bernays said that's not the way to do it. We want to enlarge the market for everybody.
Americans already love their meat and potatoes for lunch and dinner. There's no more room to make money off of lunch and dinner. But breakfast? You could definitely convince those mindless ants to eat mountains of bacon if you really wanted to.
Bacon, and you're interested in your health, as 4,000 doctors say that you better eat bacon, you'll do it.
Bacon and eggs and buttered toast. There's nothing like a good, healthy breakfast to start the day off right. And a meal like this should satisfy anyone. He'll have to learn that food has a lot to do with the way you look and the way you feel.
A breakfast without bacon and eggs is like a dog without a bone.
But little did you know, at the same time, someone else was concocting his own breakfast propaganda campaign. But this man didn't want to push a super heavy breakfast like you did. No, this man wanted to push a light, easy to digest breakfast made of cereal. And his name? It was John H. Kellogg, founder of Kellogg's cereal.
John, by the time he was 16, was writing and putting out literature for the church. He would go on to share some of the most bizarre beliefs that the church had, including the idea that masturbation and sex were off limits.
Excuse me, Ricky.
To stave off these sins of the flesh, you should never eat meat because meat increases sexual desire. Well, this is what eventually led to cornflakes. That's right, cornflakes were created by Seventh-day Adventists to curb sexual desires.
And so it began. An epic battle for the most lucrative meal of the day. And the casualty of this war was your health and stomach.
The average American child sees 10,000 food advertisements per year on television. 95% of those are for sugared cereals, soft drinks, fast foods, or candy. A parent who eats every meal, every day, for the whole year with their child, and every meal gives a very compelling nutrition message.
Junk food companies are acting very much like tobacco companies did 30 and 40 years ago. Years from now, we're going to say, I can't believe we let them get away with that.
The kind of food that we eat is the kind that's most profitable.
These active men who build America need iron nerve and keen judgment, sure strength, and super skill. These are men of action on the job, working, building, making America better and stronger. And they power up at breakfast with new improved Kellogg's Pep. The whole wheat flakes with what it takes.
It's the early 1900s, and America is booming. There are light bulbs in every home. Refrigeration is now officially a thing, and the invention of the radio has made it possible for companies to market their products to the masses on a scale never seen before in human history. Yes, life is pretty exciting. But with this new industrial age came a few problems, namely dyspepsia, a stomach disorder that was sweeping the nation. And really, it's no surprise. Everyone went from being active on the farm to sitting in cramped up positions all day, so their digestion was starting to fail. And dyspepsia was not just a little bug, it was a full-on epidemic. Office workers were experiencing symptoms like bouts of nausea, intense sweating, and a burning sensation in their stomachs. You couldn't pick up a newspaper anywhere without seeing something about dyspepsia on it. And after a while, health experts started to blame this dyspepsia thing on people eating too much for breakfast. So naturally, heavy breakfasts were out and light breakfasts were in. And guess who was waiting in the shadows with a cure-all solution? Why, it's John H. Kellogg. Since the age of 12, John Kellogg had been heavily involved in the Seventh-day Adventists church. This church believed that all human disease was caused by bad behavior and overstimulation. And according to the Adventists, the way to control your need for overstimulation is a strict, bland diet, ideally made of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. So John Kellogg believed that sex and masturbation was sinful. And his idea of a healthy diet was one that would destroy everyone's sex drive. So what did he do? He created the most bland, dry, boring, stifling breakfast possible: cornflake cereal. Yes, one of America's favorite breakfast foods today was designed to annihilate your sex drive. Interesting, right? It's like they want you to be numb and obedient. And with heavy breakfasts being the one to blame for the indigestion epidemic, John H. Kellogg saw his golden opportunity. And Kellogg didn't waste a second. He did everything in his power to make his toasted cornflakes the new go-to morning meal. He bought up some ad space in newspapers and started making some outrageous health claims. Toasted cornflakes can cure your dyspepsia in a flash. It can cure constipation. It can cure headaches. It enriches your blood. It will even give you a slimmer figure. Never mind that corn and skim milk is the exact thing used by farmers to fatten their pigs. the public never even blinked. They wanted a breakfast that didn't make them sick at work, and here it was. When Kellogg's added grinning mascots to their boxes, kids basically begged on their knees for this new breakfast alternative. A meal that was originally meant for pigs. And eventually, John H. Kellogg would coin a phrase that would remain in our zeitgeist for decades to come. Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. He did it. The masses were cuckoo for cereal. And as the CEO of Beechnut, the biggest producer of bacon, this was infuriating. You needed to get Americans to stop worrying about this stupid dyspepsia stuff and start eating bacon again. Simple, damn breakfast. Time is running out. And that's when you went to our guy, Edward Bernays, the father of propaganda. Edward Bernays didn't just pop up out of nowhere. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the famous psychoanalyst. And he was responsible for convincing Americans to do some pretty wild things, like making a whole generation of women believe that smoking in public is not dirty and unhealthy, but actually a symbol of female empowerment. Or how Dixie cups were cleaner than regular cups. Or how not wearing a hairnet while working could kill you. And you knew that if anyone could get a bunch of sick office workers to buy bacon,
Give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
it was this guy. And this is how he did it. First, he asked one of the doctors on his own marketing agency's staff which type of breakfast was healthier, a heavy one or a light one. The doctor replied that out of the two options, a heavy breakfast would be better because it provides more energy. Well, duh. Also, this doctor would have definitely gotten fired if he said light, but no one's keeping tabs. And the doctor's response was exactly what Bernays wanted to hear. Next, Bernays paid the doctor to survey 5,000 other doctors asking the same question. What's better for your health, a heavy breakfast or a light one? And it was pretty much a clean sweep. 4,500 of the doctors said that a heavy breakfast was better than a light one. And so Bernays took this stat straight to the press and framed it as a scientific study on why Americans need to eat a heavy breakfast of bacon and eggs, even though no actual science experiments took place. And the doctor never asked about bacon and eggs specifically, just that if more food is better than less food. But it worked. Headlines like, 4,500 physicians urge Americans to eat heavy breakfasts to improve their health were all over the news. And this caused Beechnut bacon sales to slowly rise. And Bernays didn't just stop there. In 1924, he hosted a huge breakfast party at the White House, serving stacks of pancakes, eggs, and yes, plenty of bacon. Because if this is good enough for the kings to be eating, then it must be good enough for us peasants, right? And so, after just a few years of this propaganda storm, Beechnut bacon sales went from lukewarm to sizzling hot. Yes, the beloved, profitable farm-style breakfast was back on the table, as was cereal. Neither were proven healthy as the first meal of the day, but they made a few men a whole lot of money. And there was still more money to be made. Picture your classic American breakfast. You've got your pancakes, eggs, bacon, toast, and a tall, refreshing glass of orange juice. But why orange juice? Is it because oranges are healthiest when consumed in the morning? Probably not. It's actually because back in the 1920s, California had a massive surplus of oranges. No, seriously, the trees were growing like weeds and grove owners had to cut them down to make sure they didn't flood the market with oranges and tank the price. And after cutting down so many trees, the orange growers of California decided to make a change. They had two options. Keep cutting down trees to keep their orange prices stable, or convince all of America to just start buying more oranges. Obviously, they went with the second option. So the California Fruit Growers Association who would later make the soda Sunkist, partnered with the top ad agencies in America to influence the public to buy more oranges, and specifically to guzzle them by the glass. One agency, led by Albert Lasker, invented this kitchen gadget, an orange squeezer that would be given away for only 10 cents for every bag of oranges sold. And this little 10-cent squeezer would make all the orange companies a ton of money. Eating one orange at breakfast was more than enough, but now people could easily drink around 2 to 3. Pretty smart, right? So you can bet the whole country jumped on the OJ train pretty fast and drank glasses full of orange juice every morning alongside their breakfast.
When you consume sugar naturally, that is in fruit, you're getting the fiber that you need to mitigate the negative effects. Am I worried about fruit? No. But am I worried about fruit juice? Oh, you bet. Because when you take the fiber out, you might as well be drinking a Coke.
And I'm sure you're wondering, why are advertisers so easily able to mold breakfast into anything they want? Because sunrise is the most lucrative time of the day.
You're the one. We're fixing breakfast for you. You're the one.
At McDonald's, we're fixing a hot, delicious breakfast just for you. Fresh scrambled eggs, hot cakes and sausage, our own Egg McMuffin, lots of Danish pastries. Try them.
At McDonald's.
If you're McDonald's or Taco Bell or Burger King and you want to make more money, breakfast is the perfect time to do it. Think about it. Lunch and dinner are pretty much set in stone. We like our sandwiches, we like our meat, but what Americans eat for breakfast is pretty much up for grabs. And some people don't even eat breakfast at all. So there's plenty of opportunity to slip in something new, something exciting that will convert these breakfast skippers for life. Something like Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, sugary cereals, McGriddle sandwiches, the McBig Breakfast. That's over 1,300 calories. Why do you think McDonald's gives away free coffee all the time? It's to get you into their restaurant to buy their addictive new breakfast concoction. Between the years of 2007 and 2012, breakfast sales across America grew by 4.8%, while lunch and dinner sales, it was a total flatline. These morning hours are a gold mine if you play your cards right. Fast food restaurants know that between the hours of 6 and 9 a.m., there's a whole horde of wage slaves that need to be fed. I mean, they need to put something in their mouths before they plunk down at their desks. Why not a hot new McDonald's sandwich? Or this waffle taco thing? These fast food brands will even throw each other under the bus in an effort to be your new favorite breakfast.
I'm Ronald McDonald, and I love Taco Bell's new breakfast.
A delicious new breakfast everyone can love, even Ronald McDonald.
And if the government tries to make rules around how much sugar or preservatives they can put in their breakfast foods, they just lobby against them. Just like Kellogg's did in the 70s, when the WIC cut Raisin Bran from their food voucher program because it had too much sugar. Once you're on top of the breakfast totem pole, you'll do anything to stay there. So is it really any surprise that Kellogg's jumped at the opportunity to make their cereal the star of the breakfast table? Or for Beechnut to employ sneaky marketing tactics to get their bacon back on your plate? Breakfast is the most important meal of the day for them. But do we even need to eat it in the first place? Before there was IHOP, Sugar Crisp, and waffle tacos, people usually just ate whatever they wanted for breakfast. Sometimes even leftovers from the night before. And if we go way back to the medieval period, breakfast was only eaten by the poor because they were so malnourished from their previous meal. And if we go back even further, ancient Romans would only eat one big meal a day. And nowadays, it's just called intermittent fasting. And if you still want to eat in the morning, think about how countries like China, India, and Japan eat the same rice and noodle dishes for breakfast as they do for lunch and dinner. Are these people dying because they aren't getting their daily dose of cornflakes? They seem to be doing just fine. See, good marketing can make people eat pretty much anything, including this, oat milk. Today, the masses believe that oat milk is this innocent, healthy, plant-based alternative to real milk, when in reality, oats and water alone taste horrible. So they shove in a ton of toxic ingredients like seed oils, glyphosate, and food additives to make it taste good. Food additives that researchers say will soon be banned. But hey, just slap a catchy brand name on the carton like Oatly, along with some clever modern-day propaganda, and no one will be the wiser. The plebs will even think it's cool to drink oat milk. And we are going to expose it all in our next video on evil food supply. So make sure you subscribe. We created this channel after we realized just how much food is used as a measure of control to keep you a docile slave. And on top of that, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire if your health sucks. In the meantime, watch our recent video on how fake meat is also a scam. Click the card on the screen to watch now.